Hey YouTube, Brandon Ascari here of Ascari Digital's Content Creator Academy, where, as you know, it is my goal to help educate and inspire you to being the best and most successful freelancer I know you could be. In this week's episode, we're going to be talking about my first impressions on the BlackMagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K. This is the EF mount Super 35 sensor size camera, not the 4K Micro Four Thirds. So let's dive in, take a look at my cinema rig that I built for it, which is right. Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna fit in, but let's see it in all of its sexy goodness. Yeah, it's beautiful. I know. Enjoy. This is filmmaker porn right here. So let's take a look at some of the settings in the camera, and then we'll go through and talk about my rig specifically. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn this on. Now, the thing that I love about BlackMagic, I was formerly a BlackMagic Ursa Mini 4K user, and I loved the interface and the menu system on the BlackMagic cameras, especially compared to the Sony that I'm filming on right now. As much as I love the Sony that I am filming on right now because it's great for this kind of content, I absolutely hate the menu system. There's like 50 different pages. There's no reason for it. Half the stuff I don't think you would ever touch. Probably like 9/10 of the stuff you would never touch when you're using anyway. But anyway, let's focus on this beautiful BlackMagic Pocket 6K that we have here and take a look at the menu system that we have. First, you're going to see the record menu. Now in here, this is going to give you the option between shooting on BlackMagic RAW, which is BlackMagic RAW codec. So this is going to be the highest quality that you could get out of a BlackMagic camera, or ProRes, which is Apple's codec, usually in a .mov. Super high quality as well, definitely the next best choice next to a RAW codec. So when you're looking at the BlackMagic RAW, you'll have the option, at least on my screen, to shoot in 3:1, 5:1, 8:1, or 12:1. And basically what that's doing is compressing the RAW file. That way you can get a lot more recording time out of your hard drive, because a lot of the times RAW is massive. When I had my Ursa Mini 4K, I never shot in RAW because with a 256 gig CFast card, I would get like 12 minutes. On here, definitely a little better, especially when you move towards 8 and 12. So then you could also choose between 6K. Yes, you could actually shoot 6K RAW on here. For YouTube, they don't usually support 6K, at least that I know of, so you could upscale it to 8K. Looks amazing. You have windowed 6K, the 2:1 aspect ratio, 5.7K, 4K DCI, 3.7K anamorphic. Oh, I can't wait to shoot on that. 2.8K 17:9. So you have a lot of choices there as far as what your codec and your resolution is going to be. In ProRes, you obviously have a few different choices. You could go HQ, 422, LT, and proxy. I usually would shoot at least at 422 because that's broadcast standard. HQ's even better. You could shoot HD, Ultra HD, or 4K DCI, which is freaking awesome. Then we move to the monitor. This one, pretty self-explanatory, just letting you know if it's LCD, HDMI, both. If you want to have the 3D LUT enabled, zebra, focus assist, frame guide, grids, safety area, false color. For me personally, I choose to just leave the zebra, focus assist, and grid on. Sometimes I would use the frame guide, but not totally necessary. In audio, you have a mini XLR, which I'm not really happy about, but I did purchase the Condor Blue XLR to mini XLR cable. So I'll show you how I could set that up, like if I was gonna do my one person, just plug the love in type setup like I would do for YouTube, but on this much larger file size camera. You also have a 3.5mm input, so you could set up one on the left channel, one on the right channel. You could use the mini, or you could use the 3.5, which is like your standard auxiliary jack, so that's good. Your setup is just going to tell you date and time, English, shutter speed or shutter angle, your flicker free shutter based on 50 or 60 hertz. You should always keep it to 60. Time code drop frame, your presets. You could create presets in here like LUTs or something like that, and then you do also have the LUT section over there, so it's good in that regard. You have a lot of flexibility with it. When it comes to looking at the main screen, so easy to go through and change your shutter speed, your ISO, ISO, your white balance, all that stuff. You just click a button, your frame rate. Super easy to do that. You just click the button, then they have arrows back and forth. So easy. Your record button's right there on the touch screen. You have a lot of nice buttons on the side over here, like the HFR, the zoom in, stuff like that. And everything's just super easy to find, stuff like that. So now that we talked a little bit about the actual menu system and the screen, let's talk about the actual rig that I've built out on this camera. I chose to build my rig with the Condor Blue cage and top handle. I also chose to use the Condor Blue quick release tabs on the side. The Condor Blue quick release tabs on the side. Those allow you to quickly detach or just put back in any little attachment that you might have. I use that for the battery for the camera, and I also use that for the SSD that I record to on this camera. Then I also like to have, as much as I possibly can, the Tilta right here. You'll see the Tilta wireless follow focus. I use the Nucleus Nano because by far it is the easiest one to control. It's right here, completely wireless, does a great job. I absolutely love that wireless follow focus. For me, one of the biggest problems with BlackMagic products is battery life. So buying the Canon battery adapter to go into a Sony NPF mount, priceless. One of the best investments I ever made with this camera. I would never change that if I could. The only way to make it better would be to go to a V mount or like an external battery pack, but the NPF, the big ones, I like Wasabi Power on Amazon. For me, the Sony NPF batteries are the time-tested champions. I use them for my monitor, I use them for the camera, I use them to power my sound mixer, I use them for as many things as I possibly can, some of my smaller lights, so I have a bunch of them lying around, and I like the Wasabi Power brand on Amazon. I buy those all the time. They're like $30 instead of the Sony's, which is like 100 and change, and they're, in my opinion, the closest ones to being as good as the brand name ones, so I would recommend those a million times over. I think it's the best way to do it. So let's actually take a look and see if there's really a noticeable quality difference on doing a shoot like I'm doing right now. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and switch this camera with this BlackMagic. We'll shoot it in 6K RAW. Ooh. And I'll plug my microphone directly into it, see if you notice a sound difference or a camera quality difference. Now note, the way my sound is recording right now, it's actually into my Sound Devices Mix Pre 6, so that should be the creme de la creme, the highest quality sound that you're gonna get. But let's see how the internals on the BlackMagic Pocket 6K go up against a really top-notch, high-end Sound Devices mixer, all right? And 3, 2, 1, boom! So now you're looking at a similar setup to the Sony shot with the BlackMagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K, shooting in 6K with BlackMagic RAW. What do you think about the difference? Do you think that the BlackMagic footage looks better than the Sony footage? I will tell you the difference in setup. The BlackMagic, we're using the Rokinon Cine DS 35mm lens with my Sennheiser lavalier mic, using the Condor Blue XLR to mini XLR into the camera, so you're hearing camera preamps with the Sennheiser microphone. With the Sony, we're using the a6400 with a Sigma 35mm lens, and the Sennheiser microphone is going into my Sound Devices Mix Pre 6. So you may hear a noticeable difference in audio quality because obviously preamps and cameras are not going to compare to professional high-end Sound Devices style preamps. Of course, they're using the Cashmere ones, they're very high quality. I will say what I noticed right off the bat is that the BlackMagic Pocket Cinema 6K camera seems to be slightly more cropped in the 6K mode with a 35mm lens on it than the Sony is in 4K with the 35mm lens. It could be that the Super 35 sensor on the BlackMagic Pocket 6K is slightly more cropped in than normal Super 35 sensors like on the Sony or other cameras like Canon and others. So let me know what you think about that. Let me know if you think that the Sony is good at what it does. Let me know if you think that the BlackMagic is good at what it does. If you think which one is better for most scenarios and which one you think each one is best suited to. I'd love to hear what you think down in the comments below. Otherwise, that's all I got for you on this week's episode of Ascari Digital's Content Creator Academy for Wednesday. If you have any questions, just leave them down below. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you know every Monday and Wednesday when episodes are coming live. Otherwise, give this video a big thumbs up if you haven't already. And in the meantime, I will see you.